that tired? Yeah? No, we're not. You'll have to bear with me. So when we do these conventions, often we have people that look after us, like specifically my wife, who has just shown up and gone, "You haven't taken your medication." So bear with me. See, there you go!
Yay!
This is the high quality content you pay for. Right, I can't wait for this next panel because it's something that we all take for granted, but is so... Who has arranged these seats? These two of them are talking amongst themselves, I want to see. We take them for granted a little bit because they're just there, and we think about the toy inside, but we don't often think about the packaging that makes us want to grab it in the first place. And with having Marcelo here, we thought it would be a really, really good idea to have him to come up on stage and talk a little bit about it. And of course, we can't talk about box art without Jim, who produced the wonderful Legacy book several years ago. So please give Marcelo and Jim a round of applause as they come to the stage. And I apologize, the seating is still terrible. Are you alright over there?
What, me?
Are you both alright?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
I like to think so.
Okay. Just making sure.
Hi, everyone.
Hey!
Hello, guys.
Hi.
How are we feeling as we're getting towards the end? Are we feeling good, chaps?
I think great.
Yeah?
Best Transformers convention ever. You guys are amazing. Really, you guys are amazing. Thank you very much. I'm having a great time. One of the best in the last 10 years. And I've been attending a lot of conventions, like big conventions, but this one for Transformers, for me, I'm loving it, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm speechless.
Come back again!
Jim?
Well, so I like to say that TFNation is my Christmas. You know, this is the time when I come and I see family, really, and reconnect with all the sort of, joyous, all the joyous sort of packages and gifts and ideas that kind of animate me throughout the rest of the year. So it's a really special time for me. And this year in particular, I mean every year I have a great time, but this year in particular, I'm a little surprised you guys aren't sick of me because I think I've been on stage about 7 hours at this point.
I think you've done more work this weekend than I have.
Yeah. Well, hopefully the remuneration, I can't even speak anymore, reflects that.
Excellent.
But
So,
thank you for having me, really.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys, for having me as well. Like, really appreciate all you guys are doing. Yeah.
right, so let's talk about, ironically we've got the word legacy up, but let's talk a little bit about package artwork, because as I say, it is something that has been with the brand ever since its inception. Jim, I'd like to start with you a little bit, because you produced a book about Generation 1 box art. Could you just give us a brief overview, appreciate your voice is going, of just sort of where the genesis of the G1 package art started?
Well, the genesis of the G1 package art started in Japan in the early 80s with the microchange and diachrome lines, just as it had with the toys themselves. The Japanese toy packaging for diachrome and microchange featured these beautiful airbrushed art pieces, and they would help sell the fantasy, but they also served a very specific purpose, because whatever mode the toy was packaged in, you had to very quickly convey the idea that it could change into something else. So when you had a car in a bubble package, in a windowed package, then having a picture of the robot with those sort of very obvious, exaggerated car parts really immediately communicated that idea to the consumers, to the kids. And they also used the same art style in their catalogs to sell the fantasy. The Microchange and Diaclone toy lines did have stories to them. They didn't have cartoons or comic books to go with them at this point, but they would have catalogs that would have really cool airbrush paintings that would illustrate the story that went along with the packaging. Mostly, the vehicles kind of fighting monsters, which did not get toys, as was generally the convention in Japan at that time.
Yeah.
And then those toys, well, no, you're good. Those package arts, the art from those packages, in many cases, were directly brought over to Hasbro to be used in their Transformers toy line with little minor alterations, like you need to add a symbol to them. And that set the style for what would follow later. And here we have some package art from the back of the box, which these are original. These didn't come out of Japan. These were original pieces commissioned in New York in Rhode Island, and then through New York art agencies, and they would make these beautiful paintings using the toys as reference. And Hasbro had a lot of input into what the art should look like. Here you can see they've featured both of the big leader toys. You've got the Autobots versus Decepticons, but they're also giving you the specific fantasy, not just of transformation, which, if you notice these, they always show the characters, at least some of the characters changing from one mode to another, but it shows the specific headmaster gimmick. So, are we doing a dance part?
I don't know what's going on, yeah.
Interjecting. It's tricky to deal with it.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah. I thought I would put this on there because, we've gone from, we've gone from these beautiful splash images on the back of the box, which we lost for a very, very long time. But recently, Hasbro has been doing these beautiful splash images, very much in the callback of those original box arts. And Marcelo, obviously, you went ahead and did this one. Was that the mandate when you were looking at this, to sort of bring back that original Generation 1 box art feel?
Yeah, I think that's the purpose of those illustrations, because this went to the side of the package. It's to show what they're bringing to the line, to this kind of line. In this case, I think it follows a little bit what packages we did in the 80s, tell the stories of that current wave, in this case, they tell the story of the wave. So you have the Titans, the Nemesis, and then the wreck cars, the new Junkions. So yeah, I think at the same time they try to tell a story through one poster, big poster, and then he also, I think it totally makes sense, like bring back that G1 feel. I still miss a little bit the transformation sequence. That thing that I wish I could have pushed more, but when I can, I try to push that, because that's what I like to see, because they're Transformers.
Yes.
You want to see the transforming, and then but sometimes we don't have time or we don't have space, and then at this case, I just want to make a call here. I just did the pencils for this artwork. It was brilliant painted by Studio Volta. It's a studio that does the color for the packages, and then this art was commissioned to Hasbro. Hasbro gave the inputs to what they wanted, what they're planning, so I just have to put everything together, some of our scraps, and then I try to do my best to show what some.
And one of the things that this box art does now, as opposed to just be a really cool image showing the player pattern and the characters fighting, whenever Hasbro now release these new images, they immediately become fertile ground for speculation, because there's a tiny little character. For example, we've got the Nemesis in the top right-hand corner. I don't know how well you can see that on the screen. Everybody then thinks to themselves, is that going to be?
Yeah.
When you are asked to draw something like this, I'm assuming that it isn't the case that they give you just, here's a list, go crazy, or are they saying, look, we've got the Nemesis, but it's a toy that's coming out next year or the year after. So just put a little history.
On this specific case, I got a really rough image with a montage. I happened to design those junkions in the front of it. So that's why they are more prominent, because they wanted to promote these new modes, these new toys. Like the play pattern, here will be like, you can switch parts, so that's why you see like those guys in the front. And at the same time they say, hey Marcelo, put a Nemesis ship like really small on the top. They put it together, this mock-up image for me. And then like also try to put Optimus, or I think Armada? Yeah, Armada Optimus, I tried to put him somewhere also. And then, yeah, for this one they already knew what they wanted. So like, but then I have to figure out how to put in perspective, how to make the image work as one big poster. But at this point, they already knew what they wanted. They want a large Armada hotshots. They want the Leo convoy. They wanted to promote those big pictures. They want like this small Dinobots. So they asked me to do on the exact size.
Yeah.
If they don't know what to do, sometimes they ask me to do some versions. Like, oh, okay, we have this list of the characters. These are the main ones, and then try to put Easter eggs from these ones. In this case, they put together a bunch of images, like with no perspective, just like a bunch of, just to show like what they wanted.
Yeah. Now, going back to the G1 box art, Jim, this is from, remind me, is that?
This is from
Diaclone, yeah. And then obviously this is the Devastator. Do we know why, apart from the fact that they're glorious images, do we know why Hasbro decided to take the same image style? Generally speaking, you know, anime and things like that, many years away from breaking out in the West. It seems peculiar that back in the 1980s they could stick to the same art style.
Well, I think they really liked the art style, and you know, this is an example where the original toy from Japan has a very different set of colors than what Hasbro thought would sell to an American audience. So by necessity, they had to redo the image. Although obviously, you know, I think it was Mark Watts doing this image. You know, he obviously had reference, you know, to the original. You know, that's what he was working for. But if you're doing something like Starscream, you know, you can pretty much use that original image, you know, and you know, get rid of the the military markings and replace it with some Decepticon markings, and you know, it's much cheaper and easier to make that image than it is to make a brand new one. Because you have to realize these are airbrushed pieces. Each of these pieces of artwork, you know, that's a couple of weeks of someone's life. You know, I mean, it's a very labor. Yeah, you could probably talk.
Really time consuming. Like that's a lot of labor, and it's all made by hand. Like if you do a mistake, you need to redo the whole thing, or you need to patch your parts. But it's really hard. It's not like computer that you can just erase and start over again. These are real airbrush stuff.
So if you want 2 weeks of someone, you know, of an artist's life on one piece, you have to pay for 2 weeks of an artist's life on that one piece. You know, 1/26th of their, you know, their annual lifestyle. And Hasbro, I think to their credit, was willing to pay that because they thought, you know, it would help sell the product. I mean, I don't want to say no expense was spared, because obviously when they could save some money and still make a really good product, they would. But in the case, and even for someone like Mark working on this piece, it's probably easier for him to start with a piece that already has some reference that they're already pleased with, and then, you know, make a new one in purple. But you know, you can see that the gun is different. It's not exactly the same piece.
Yeah, you can see they try to sell the product on the green one. Like the head is large, is look at you. You have forced perspective for around the hands. You see that the gun is not pointed to you. That's one thing sometimes Hasbro said, never point the gun towards the viewer. So, yeah.
That's fascinating to me, because I don't know, I obviously I noticed the difference, but the idea that modern Hasbro is saying that, I mean, it's entirely possible that it
they
were saying the same thing.
Yeah, they say it's another way to sell the product. Like if you pointed the gun down, you can see the whole product, how does work. So that's a way to sell, because probably this one is packing as a truck mode, right? They have the six vehicle modes, right? So that's why, okay, you don't see the gun on the pack, all the toys on the inside. So that's a way to show the product in the imaginative. You see the forced perspective on the left side. Like I think it's a way to make different from the original one. So yeah, and big head, like showing the character better.
It makes it more of a character, and because realize that the fantasy in Diaclone is that these were mechs. There are humans operating these machines to go fight alien demon robots.
They're just robots. They're not characters that you mentioned. Not Devastator, just like a robot.
Yeah, this guy, the green one, Devastator. He's got a big face. Identity looks like a person, a being.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And even then, it's, as you talk about perspective and things like that, you're looking up at this character in wonder, and this character is looking down on you. It's an evil character, there's fear in it. It's these subtle little differences that you don't necessarily think of at first glance.
And if you notice, Devastator, it used complementary colors, like green with purple, so it's on purpose that, like the guys want to try to make it simple, but at the same time creating a harmony on the character. So like, totally different than the car version that's all over the place. But it's possible for kids, but at the same time they need a new marketing. Like this is a bad guy, so I think for Hasbro, as far as I know, like purple reminds me of Decepticons.
Yeah.
And then red Autobots, so they try to use those kind of colors in the characters.
Yeah, and it really is such a great deco, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Like I think it's really smart deco, like for a character. Yeah.
Whereas, the Diaclone, I think they were more interested in the fantasy of like any vehicle around you might be, a Diaclone mech, right? So these guys are in more conventional colors that construction vehicles might actually have.
Yeah, like a red truck, a yellow truck as well. Yeah, but like if you see Transformers the movie, the Revenge of the Fallen, the Devastator looks like follows the Diaclone colors.
Yeah, actually, I never thought about that. Yeah. And I'm sure it's not on purpose, but it does seem like they're drawing kind of from the same influences. Because of course in Michael Bay, the vehicles tend to be much more real vehicles.
Yeah,
and more their real vehicle colors.
Yeah, I think that for him maybe the car modes are more important than the robots.
Yeah, I think. And then of course we've just got some iconic package art, which I have nothing really to comment on other than the fact that they're gorgeous, and I've just stuck them in. But
here we go.
it brings us on to package art, because Marcelo, it was package art that brought you into the world of Transformers, and this is, we showed this off on your panel yesterday. This was the very first piece of commissioned Hasbro work that you did, which would be for the character Swindle, and it was part of the card that I believe came with the action figure. Now, what's interesting, I think, about Armada is that this was really the start of a brand new wave, I would say, of package art, wasn't it? Prior to this, we had Robots in Disguise 2001, which I think used toy images on its package. And I want to say Beast Machines just had Cheeto up in the corner.
Or Optimus Prime.
Or Optimus Prime, yeah. So this was really a return to form. I would ask you, Marcelo, was that something that Hasbro was keen on? Clearly, with this new style, this more sort of anime-inspired look. Do you like the call?
Yeah, I think who created those style was Dreamwave at that time. So that's the joke. I think I mentioned before the joke that Archer says to me, Archer, like, just was hired because Pat Lee was late. So that's why you were found. And then basically, I think Dreamwave created this style guide for this packaging. I think they the direction was like, let's show full body of the characters. Because I think at that time sometimes they show like half bodies or just waist up. So I think on the Armada they wanted to show the full body for all the characters. If not the full body on the package, they have at least a card with the full body. And then this action pose. It's not so action, but like to show that's the kind of pose that during Wave was doing at that time. So when I did the research of poses they were doing, that's the one that like those hands and then those perspectives, like floating. Minicons usually, when I saw the cartoon, they're usually floating before they connect to the main robot. So that's what I tried to do this. So I remember that I didn't have many directions at this point. They just told me to do a full body and try to figure out how Dream Wave was doing at that time.
Yeah.
As an illustrator, I had to figure out, okay, I need to follow this.
Yeah.
But it's kind of interesting because you can really trace the evolution of the concept, because you started in Japan with the airbrush paintings, which America then continued to emulate for the entire run of Transformers Generation 1. In Generation 2, they more or less continued that tradition. They could often reuse ones, but you could already see they're starting to try and do it a little bit faster. They started to use computers for the first time. And then when they did Beast Wars, they continued to paint, but they moved completely away from the idea of doing airbrushing. And they were painting, I want to say, what was it, Guar? Does that sound about right? Yeah, maybe. But they were still doing paintings, but they were doing paintings that were a little bit cheaper, a little bit faster for them to do. And this is that third wave when we moved into that Dream Wave style. And it's not always going to be Dream Wave, but it does follow sort of comic book production.
It actually was following the comic book style at that time, because that's what the anime style that Dream Wave has created for these comics. For these comics, so like you have cell shading, that when you have flat colors for the characters and painted background, so that's why they choose for the package. Like the flat, it's like the cartoony version. Like if you see the G1, like G1 would be like this, so like flat colors, not gradients, or you see the lining of the robot, you see the lining of the character, like it's like straight from the cartoon. I think that's what the idea, like that. Let's switch from full painted figure to like a more cartoony version.
Yeah, so pencil and ink.
Yeah.
With digital colors.
Yeah.
And when you're looking at something like this, so if we remember Swindle Toy, it's very blocky and it's got very long arms, things like that. But obviously this is going in the toy itself, almost as a real reflection of how you should see this character. How much liberty are you allowed to take in regards to creating the box art to differ from the figure itself?
I think I have a freedom to do that. Like they have some limitations. Sometimes they say, "Oh, try to show chest and face looks toward the camera, towards the viewer, because then people can figure out better. Like try to not hide anything with perspective. Like force too much the perspective that the head's tiny to the point that no one sees." And then try to put some action. I did not force the action pose on that one because, again, that's my first one. But that's one thing I tried to put some attitude on him, like well, just transforming to connect to battle with Starscream.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Like I also had to see a package for Starscream and try to do a different pose to not do the same pose. So that's another thing I need to figure out. Like those are complementary characters from the main characters.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that they told me to be aware of. Like, oh, these are not the same. Try to not mimic the pose. Like, try to do something different.
Yeah.
And then, like, at the same time, tell a story. Like, this guy is technically a bad guy. Like, so try to do something menacing. And then, like.
So when you were working on this, did you have the toy as reference?
Just pictures. I have pictures of the deco sheets. You know those deco sheets? They have a paint over, like the remodel toys, they paint over, they put some Pantone and colors, so I never had it at that time. They sent me later, but like everyone says, oh, did you get the toys before? I say, no. I wish I could. I wish I had those, but no.
So he was packaged with Starscream. Did you have the Starscream art so you know what it was going to be?
Oh, they sent me the art. they just send me the art, they send me reference, they send a bunch of Dreamwave arts and say, oh, try to follow this, but try to not copy the same pose. They're not so picky, like, because before I move to final image, I usually send a lot of different sketches, a lot of different poses, and they say, oh, I want this pose. So I usually send 3 different styles.
Okay. So you would like give it
3 different sketches. Yeah.
and then send that off.
Yeah, that's all. Like mostly everyone who works nowadays, you send some options, the client pick the options that he wants, and then it will go from there.
Yeah. And here is a smattering of some of the box art that you've done over the course of the last 20 years. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you.
We have everything, you know, I believe this was a piece from Universe. We've got Alpha Quintessa over here. We've got, I mean, it's War Dawn. It's my favorite piece of Transformers fiction ever. And I absolutely love that. One thing that I'm wondering, we've got a couple of closed boxes here. We're going to talk about a pretty big piece of closed box that you've done relatively recently. But when it comes to closed box, I'm assuming the gamut is just show us something like really cool.
Yeah. I think closed boxes are better to show the storytelling that you plan to do. Like these are Hasbro had already what they wanted in mind, especially for the Alpha Trial and Orion packs. They knew what they wanted, so they suggested me, oh, try to use this pose this way, like, and then I do a couple. I just changed the angle of the camera to see if what they wanted. This hot rod, this one they just asked me to do an action pose for him, and then action pose for the car, and then they probably, I didn't know they were going to use the backgrounds that I did for 86. Don't know those inserts. Yeah, so there's, because I work on that one, those on our, so they use as the pack. I didn't know they would do that. At this time, they just asked me to do pencils like this Springer. After combining wars, they changed a little how I would work with them. They asked me just to focus on pencils because they have someone else to do color. So they say, hey Marcelo, you can crank the pencils really fast, and then while you do like 3 or 4 per week, we'll have someone else to color your stuff. I say, that's okay. Then, like for example, Springer, I try to this is one piece that I need to make this one works on the vertical piece on the side of the package. At the same time, I wanted to show action, like, and I tried to recreate his shooting, like the action, the main scene of the movie where he's opening his arm and shooting. And then I tried to do that with that as well, and then actually put him in an action pose, like running. And then
I gotta say, I love seeing the underside of his feet.
Yeah.
It really does give a sense of momentum.
Yeah, and also I like to put in perspective. If we are humans, those guys are big guys. So that's why I try to push this perspective as well. Like try to make them look bigger, and then like we are, the guys look up, and then that's. I think that's a kind of evolution of my work. Like if you see 2000, early 2000, I'm still figure out how to work some things, how to do the poses. And then I think I'm feeling more freedom, like more comfortable to figure out, okay, how can I handle those characters. Yeah, Alpha Trial was
Alpha Quintessa.
Alpha Quintessa was my first Transformers packaging, like at that time. Like they asked me to do this more organic figure, and then I tried to make more like, I don't know, I really like Spawn at that time. So I tried to make a more comic book pose. I like this
with a chain.
Yeah, the chain that I had a lot of Mark Fallen toys at that time. I said, oh, maybe we're gonna play around with that. So yeah, that's what I tried to do. And
I thought it was interesting. I was actually going to ask you the question about the War Dawn box set, because you mentioned there that Hasbro said this is sort of what we have in mind for it. What I thought was interesting about this one is that if you watch the episode, which I do many times, Alpha Trion takes Orion packs, he walks into the building, and then Optimus Prime comes out of the building. And I wondered whether or not the thought process in this was, let's show a little deleted scene almost. Let's use the box art to tell a bit more of the story. And I don't know if that was intentional or not, but that was sort of the thing that I saw in that.
Yeah, that's what they want. Actually, that's what they want. They want to, like, they sent me this episode. They said, oh, we wanted to recreate this episode on this package. Our Orion packs should be laid down, and then Alpha Trion tried to fix him at some point.
Yeah.
And then I tried to figure out ways to show that. I tried to rotate different cameras. I showed them those options, like more top view, more this angle view, and then they liked this one because then I could show both faces, and then, because they want to show like Optimus, Orion packs, like kind of defeat, laying down defeated. So they want to show this momentum, this scene to. But it was their ideas. They have this idea in mind. They said, well, they wanted this scene on the front of the package.
So this is an aside. This is a pure aside. But David, if you're watching Ordon and you're thinking that you really want a scene between where Alpha Trion takes Orion and then Optimus Prime comes out, I feel like you're the reason why in the Empire Strikes Back Special Edition they added the scene of Darth Vader's shuttlecraft going from best.
I am 100% that guy. Yeah, you're going to, you know, I'm the guy who desperately wants the uncut version of Ordon, David Wise's original script, where Megatron rips Dion's arm off and decapitates him with it. You know, it's yeah, you know, that was apparently the original intention before Hasbro went. No, yeah, I'm absolutely.
Maybe we should produce that comic.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, you want me to? Yeah, one person.
It's all for you, man.
But it's interesting, you know, talking about storytelling in box art. I feel like even the original Generation 1 box art tells a story, and I think we lose a lot here. And if Chris McFeely is in the room, I don't know if he is or not, but Chris says this constantly, and I 100% agree with him, is you lose something when your robot is packaged in robot mode. Because what you have is, you have the robot and the box art showing the same thing. Whereas if you look at any of the Generation 1 box art, to the left, you have the open window with the vehicle in, and usually, especially for the first series, you know, the cars and things like that, immediately to the right and up, you have the robot, and it's usually the character is facing towards the vehicle as if you're seeing the transformation within the box itself. And I think you lose a little bit of storytelling with that.
No, you're absolutely correct. And they were very conscious of using the box art as a way to showcase that there was transformation. And if you'll notice when there's exceptions, it's usually because like it's a triple changer where they'll show the other vehicle mode that's unused as well as the robot mode, or it's the Pretenders where it's showcasing, because that's a hard gimmick to convey, right? That I have a robot that turns into a thing and it goes inside a suit. So that they really tried to walk you through that with the box art, or even you know, the clones, where the gimmick was the robots look like each other. So, you know, in America and Japan they had different uses, but in one of the markets they packaged them in robot modes to showcase that they were identical, and then you had to show the alt modes, which was an exception. And then in the other market, they would showcase that, hey, you know, we're showing you the toys are packaged as their alt modes, their vehicles or their animals, but look, there's two identical but different robots. So they were always using their artwork to showcase the gimmick, up until Action Masters when there wasn't a gimmick.
We have to show this.
That's one of my favorites as well.
Yeah. Could you just tell us a little bit about what it was like to get this assignment?
This one was a nightmare to work on. Because I didn't have a lot of space to work on, and they say, oh, we want each character in part of the packaging, but they are fighting each other. I say, okay, then you have this vertical piece that you can do action pose, and then at the same time you need to show like part of the other piece, because when you cut we need to know that one package connect with the other, so I had to put a part of Greenlock flags on Shockwave package, because then the person was, okay, I need to connect to this. So, but at the same time, I said, hey Marcelo, we need a full body Shockwave. I said, but how can I fit full body Shockwave on this strip? And then like, as you can see, it's shorter than the Greenlock. Like, and then but like I said, just do a full body. Then I ended up fixing and created a full body after, because I started with this one, just this piece, and then after they say, hey Marcelo, let's do the full body, maybe we're gonna use in the future.
Yeah.
But again, like storytelling, I need to show like Grimlock fighting Shockwave, and then this is one of the biggest fighters in the comics that we had. So like, and asked me to emulate the 80s style for the comics, and yeah, and then was not easy.
No.
Sorry for the lack of words, but it was really.
It's late on a Sunday, don't
David, where's the rest of it?
Well, I could only steal this bit from Marcelo's Instagram. So,
Marcelo has the original over at his table.
Oh yeah, if you guys want to see the full image, I have in my folder down there.
wait, what?
Yeah?
Oh, right. I'm off.
Everybody, let's go.
Come on! We'll go as a group.
Yeah, but they started with this one, okay, we have like, there's two more images after Grimlock, so the story behind it was create a fight scene, battle scene between all those characters from this pack.
Yeah.
So like, and then their comics would be attached, so try to figure out a way to make them fight each other. And then, yeah, I had to do my magic on those.
And it's just another interesting way of showing what box art can do in regards to telling stories. In this instance, collecting the set and building out this lovely image.
Well, and it winds up being a teaser.
Yeah, this is a kind of teaser for what's happening, yeah, because we have the comic inside, and then we have, the toys are painted on this style as well. It's a comic book painting, right? They have some, like those gradients, those textures. So, yeah, they try to sell this new painting style for those toys, these special editions.
Yeah.
Like those comic book style painting.
Yeah.
Yeah, like again, it's another. They said they were testing out the water, see how the fans react with those things. So.
We reacted very well, especially here. Now.
That's one. Yeah.
Yeah. How many people have got? How many people have brought boxes for you to sign?
Yeah. I signed at least 20 boxes of those already.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing those. Appreciate it. Yeah.
You mentioned in your panel yesterday about not seeing an Optimus Prime toy until you were in your early 20s.
Yeah, like that.
It must have been a thrill all these years later when Hasbro says, we're doing our definitive Optimus Prime in the 86 line and we want you to do the box art.
Yeah, as I mentioned yesterday, was the moment that I geek out. Let's say, okay, I can stop doing package for now. I'm totally happy with everything I was doing through those 20 years. And that's why I was always looking for, and then I honestly never expected to recreate this scene. I always wanted to do an Optimus, but then when I had a chance to, okay, we have a space, we have a closed box, and I say, okay, that's the chance that I have to show the most iconic scene from the Transformers 86 movie, and at the same time, homage the old 80 toys, like show the transformation sequence. That's one thing that I like in the packaging nowadays. For a lot of reasons, like we'll have all those legal stuff in the back, and then I had a chance to do this thing was really amazing. Like yeah, and then I'm glad that it worked out. Like I'm glad they liked the idea, like because they wanted me to use the image that Optimus is jumping. They wanted me to use that image on the side. But I did that, the one button was not working pretty well, then I suggested, what if you use that pose when he come out from the ship, and Megatron must be stopped, and then what if you use that pose on the side, because it worked perfectly on the side of the packaging. And when I did a mock-up, I did a montage of this, they say, oh, looks good, Marcelo, let's proceed with that. So
yeah. and you've actually shown off.
Oh yeah.
So this is just some of your early sketchwork.
Yeah.
Is this the kind of thing that you would do, as you say, make several versions
Yeah.
of it? And
Yeah, as you can see, if you see in the previous one, like I did a suggestion how it would look like on the side of the packaging. I say, we look okay, but you have a lot of, as it's graphic designers, there's a lot of empty space that, let's try to fill those empty spaces. If you Optimus jumping here, you have on the bottom left part, you have a lot of empty space. I think will not look good in the packaging. And then they wanted to use the truck mode for the full one. I said, it's okay scene, but like, his jump is better.
so their initial concept then was, we've got this giant box, and we're just going to put a picture of a truck.
Yeah.
Well, because the toy was back.
Yeah.
In a sealed box!
But that was the gimmick for that toy, that's the thing. The gimmick they want to try to sell, that's another thing. Sometimes they ask me to do this because the gimmick was this jumping, it's because it's standing, right? It's a standing.
Explosion.
Yeah, the explosion, that's the effect they try to sell from that packaging, for that toy store. And then that's they asked me to use that because they wanted to promote that thing.
That's so interesting to hear you use those words, because I think we look at that explosion effect and we just think it's an accessory.
Yeah.
It's interesting to hear the notion that Hasbro considers that the feature to focus on within the... neither rightly or wrongly, but it's just fascinating to hear that sort of insight into it.
Because it's something different they try to do at that time.
Yeah.
Like, it's not usual, they don't have this kind of stands that works, that tell the story. It's not just a stand, it's part of this. If you want to take a picture, you can recreate the scene.
Yeah.
I gotta say thank you for fighting for the better image, because it's always on some level easier to just give them exactly what they want.
Yeah.
Giving them what's better and what they might actually like more does require a certain level of trust and back and forth. So it's great that you were able to articulate that vision and sell them on it.
Yeah, I think that I don't want to make the designers look bad at Hasbro because they're amazing.
Oh, no.
But I just like, sometimes I like to give another option to see how maybe you can improve this thing. And I also have this freedom, this conversation, this open conversation with them. I think let's make this thing iconic as possible.
Yeah.
And they totally jump into
It's
that.
absolutely to their credit that they're flexible enough to evaluate new ideas.
Yeah, I was afraid they were strict to say, no, Marcelo, let's keep the, sometimes they're really strict and say, no, just need to show that thing.
Yeah.
But in this case, they were really flexible with that.
Yeah.
And then that's what I said, I suggested that Optimus standing on the side, that it would make more sense. Then we have all the iconic pieces for Optimus from that scene in one packaging.
Yeah.
So that was my idea, and then that's why I think I closed my circle, my Hasbro, with packaging. I think I'm really happy with this line.
And then, of course,
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. It's a fun work for fans, so that's why I'm as fans as you guys. So I just want to see this thing in the package, and I'm pretty sure you guys wanted to see that. So that's why I tried to fight for that.
Yeah.
And then,
what I would love to see is just the image fully completed without any of the logos. I can't find it anywhere, but...
hopefully we can do an extension from the book, right?
Hey, I'm 100% on board. If that's something you'd like to see,
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know.
don't tell me, tell Hasbro.
Yeah.
Tell Hasbro.
Next year we have 4th anniversary for the movie, so that perfect excuse to do a special edition.
Oh God, I'd love to.
All
do
the
that.
packaging already
There's
sees
so much. I love the Volta stuff. There's
Yeah.
so much good.
Those guys are so good.
The
They're really.
Minor Wars and the Siege stuff. Oh,
Yeah.
that would be such a great book.
Yeah, we need to give credit for them. Like, I'm not just the guy doing this. Those Vora makes my drawing come to life. I'm just doing pencils, I'm not color, but those guys, they make magic with time. I don't want to take credit for everything, but because those guys make the magic happen.
Yeah.
And another aside, when I was working on the Legacy art book, Hasbro gave me a huge data transfer that included a lot of this material. And one of the really neat things for me that I couldn't really showcase just because we didn't have the space was I'd oftentimes get the layered PDFs. So I'd get, like a beautiful color image like this, but I could turn off the color if I wanted and see the pencils. And it's really neat to see that process. And every once in a while, I could actually use it like strategically. Like I think I had all of the third, the one with the Power Masters and the Pretender line, after Titan's Return, Power of the Primes.
Yeah.
And all of the images had these like floating glyphs on them, but it was always the same set of floating glyphs, so it got repetitive. So one of the ideas I had was, I could turn them off because I have the layers, because it looks great in context, but the context is it's a single character on a single package. But if you put 8 of those on 2 pages, then it starts to get redundant.
Yeah.
But having that flexibility as a graphic designer makes my life a lot easier.
Yeah.
So that's what the plan with Hasbro. Hasbro asked me to do all full poses, and then they sent to Volta, and Volta created the backgrounds for some of them. So so this case, I think I created this background for Power the Primes, all the other images. I just do the pose, and then Volta try to create something around my drawing. So that's a teamwork. That's all the Hasbro stuff is like when you create a toy, it's a teamwork. When you create a package, a teamwork. I know I get credits for this, but again, it's a teamwork.
Yeah, I think it's really worth emphasizing that even when you go back, even when it's like one guy, when it's Mark Watts doing the airbrushing, it is still very much a collaborative effort.
Yeah.
Because first off, it doesn't exist in a vacuum. The context really matters. This graphic design on the packages that makes them look appealing. But also, someone like Mark is getting sketches of what the packages look like and how much real estate he has to work with. So he can't just draw any cool robot he wants. He has to draw one that, as you alluded to, is going to be looking at that vehicle mode. And then when you get to modern stuff, oftentimes the person doing the pencils and inks isn't the person doing the coloring. So it takes a lot of cooks to make this suit. It really does.
Yeah, it's really good.
And not all of the packaging as this one, you have a lot of space. You have a limitation size or space to put the image, and you make the image that creates impact. So you have limitations. Like now you have open packaging, so you have a small size, a small space like to put the illustration. So and then again, the guys need to be creative to show, to tell stories from that.
Yeah. It's so fascinating, and that brings us to the end of it. Thank you both so very much. Let's hope that we can stick a 2 under there in a year's time or something.
I'd love to.
Yeah.
But please,
Thank you very much.
and we will be back very shortly. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, guys.